Hello and welcome to VOP News Updates. I'm Moses Humphrey. We begin with a story of the fire that has raised the residence of the NLC president, Joe Ajaero, in Lagos. The fire was said to have started at the roof and was preceded by an unusual noise, which was dismissed as coming from animals in the house. Within minutes, the entire house erupted in flames, forcing family members at home to escape without being able to salvage properties. NLT confirmed the inferno and described it as a mysterious fire. It said in a statement that the fire razed the entire building to the ground. Members of the family who were distraught were not willing to talk at the time of questioning. Comrade Ajaero was in faraway Geneva when it happened, and he has similarly maintained silence since returning to the country. Now, when pressed for comment, he said he gave glory to God. No life was lost. On whether he felt it was a hit job, he said his work as president of Congress comes with a lot of risks, but refused to be drawn into who may be after him. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Egbetokun, has announced that personnel of the Police Mobile Force, PMF, would be withdrawn from VIP escort and guard duties. Egbetokun said this on Monday in Abuja at a conference with the police tactical commanders. He said the force would re-evaluate the responsibilities of the PMF to ensure their effective utilization. The IGP said a special committee headed by Deputy Inspector General of Police Operations and had been set up to assess and advise on how the strategy could be implemented seamlessly. According to him, the committee is expected to submit its report in 2 weeks, after which further details will be made available. Egbetokun said the focus of the police would be to enforce the law and be partners in creating safe communities and nurturing an environment where everyone would feel protected and valued. He said details of the strategic plan will be made available in the weeks and months ahead, adding that the force will ensure that the policy was implemented strictly in accordance with best practices. According to him, this will free up regular police officers to focus more on frontline policing duties across the nation, noting that the proposed operational strategies was aimed at fostering trust, cooperation, and confidence within the police force. Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has sacked permanent secretaries and suspended district and village heads appointed by his predecessor, Bello Matawale. The state government said the decision was part of reforms it has embarked upon to correct what it called the mismanagement of the state resources by the immediate past governor. The secretary to the state government, Abubakar Nakwada, in a press conference in Gusau on Tuesday, said the past administration wreaked havoc on the state's economy. Nakwada said all districts created in December 2022 had been dissolved, while permanent secretaries appointed after the 2023 general election have been sacked, with a full rationalization of civil service in progress. Speaking further, Nakwada said the state was on the verge of collapsing when the incumbent administration was inaugurated in May. He noted that the Matawale administration neglected critical sectors, especially education and the economy. He faulted Matawale's failure to ensure pupils in the state wrote external final year examination, especially the West African Examination Council, WAEC, the National Examination Council, NECO, which he said the incumbent governor settled. Nakwada also accused Matawale of spending 50 billion naira on projects in the government house with little developmental impact. He said the former governor spent 11.5 billion naira on Gusau Cargo Airport with no visible progress, as well as allocating about 1 billion naira to construct Governor's Lodge in 14 local governments with nothing to show. He assured residents that Governor Lawal will take several actions to reverse what he called the sorry condition the sorry condition in the state in the coming days. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) to pay 1 million naira to Dibu Ojerinde, former Registrar of Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAM), over unlawful detention. Obiora Egwatu, presiding judge, also awarded a fine of 200,000 naira against the ICPC as the cost of instituting the suit and ordered the immediate release or arraignment of the applicant. In March 2021, Ojerinde was arrested by the ICPC. On July 16, 2021, he was arraigned on an 18-count charge bordering on alleged misappropriation of funds to the tune of 5.2 billion naira. While in office, he was later granted bail while the trial continued. On January 2023, Ojerinde was rearrested by the ICPC at the premises of the court, but the former JAM registrar sued ICPC for allegedly violating his right to dignity and liberty. Delivering judgment on Tuesday, Egwatu held that though Ojerinde's rearrest was legal and lawful based on the search warrant obtained from the chief judge of the court, the Anti-Graft Commission ought to have obtained a detention warrant. The judge held that detaining the applicant without a prior order and not arraigning him was a breach of his fundamental right to liberty. But the court held that Ojerinde's right to the dignity of a person was not breached, since he was unable to show that he was either tortured or brought into forced slavery, among others. The judge ordered that the former JAM registrar should be released or arraigned immediately, although Ojerinde had sought 500 million naira as compensation and another 100 million naira as the cost of instituting the suit. The court awarded 1 million naira as damages and 200,000 naira as litigation cost. The All Progressives Congress (APC) has fixed July 10 and 11 to hold its National Caucus and National Executive Committee (NEC) meetings, respectively. Iyola Omishere, the National Secretary of the APC, announced the date in a notice on Tuesday. The National Secretary said the call for the sit-down was pursuant to Articles 12.5 and 25.2(1) of the APC Constitution. Omishere said the President, Vice President, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, National Chairman, Deputy Chairs, North and West, National Secretary, National Legal Advisor, National Treasurer, National Organizing Secretary, National Youth Leader, and National Leader of Persons Living with Disabilities are among those invited. Former President Muhammadu Buhari and former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the immediate past Vice President, that's Yemi Osinbajo, expected to be in attendance, while the National Caucus gathering will be held at the Presidential Villa. Party leaders will converge on Transcorp Hilton for the NEC meeting the next day. Although the agenda is not yet known, it is understood that the meetings may provide avenues to resolve the various crises facing the party since the last election. There are feelers that the forum may also decide the fate of Abdullahi Adamu, national chairman, and Omishere, who have been accused of flouting the party's constitution. Now, these meetings will be the first for President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima since they were elected leaders of the country. The last time the ruling party held these meetings was in the build-up to the general election. At the time, the party was looking at the possibility of having a consensus presidential candidate. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has pegged daily transaction limits to 50,000 naira for contactless payment. Now, contactless payments are a secure and convenient method of making transactions without physical contact between a payment device, such as prepaid debit and credit cards, key fobs, mobile electronic devices, and wearable devices. It utilizes near-field communication (NFC) technology, allowing users to simply tap or wave their payment device near the terminal to complete a transaction. In October 2022, the financial regulator issued guidelines to commercial banks, financial institutions, and payment service providers on contactless payments in order to promote innovation in the sector. In a circular on Tuesday, signed by Musa Jimo, Director of CBN Payments System Management Department, the Apex Bank said, due to the risks associated with contactless payments, verification and authorization would be required for transactions above the limits. The CBN further said, for transactions above the limits, existing Know Your Customer (KYC) requirements and limits on the electronic payment channels shall apply. On Sunday, the CBN directed commercial banks to collect and verify social media handles as part of their KYC procedures. In foreign news, President Julius Bio of Sierra Leone was on Tuesday declared the winner of the presidential election in the West African country. Bio secured victory by polling over 56% of the votes to avoid a runoff against main rival Samura Kamara, who polled about 41%. The president was running for re-election after a first term of 5 years, characterized by inflation, high cost of living, and poor currency. The Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone, ESCL, said Bio took an early lead in the 60% of the total votes tallied on Monday. According to the electoral law, a candidate needs more than 55% of the vote in order to win in the first round. The election was considered a two-horse race between President Bio of Sierra Leone People's Party (SLPP) and 72-year-old former cabinet minister Samura Kamara, who leads the opposition All People's Congress (APC) party. The general election have been defined by tension and widespread uncertainty, especially in opposition strongholds in the northern districts. On Sunday, police in Sierra Leone fired tear gas at the headquarters of the APC in Freetown as voters awaited the results of the keenly contested election, but the police, in a statement, said members of the APC had paraded through Freetown, announcing to the public that they had won the election. The Office of National Security had earlier warned party members against declaring the results of the election, which it said lies with the electoral umpire. On Tuesday, the European Union Election Observers Mission (EOM) in Sierra Leone, in its preliminary observation report, stated that voters' commitment to a democratic process was challenged by violence and lack of transparency at critical stages of elections. Well, that's it on the VOP News Update. I would like you to subscribe and engage with us on YouTube. It is Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, it's at VOP TV Live. I'm Moses Humphrey.